Our family was on vacation a few weeks ago. We had the chance to spend time in Colorado, and when we got back, one of the things I was looking forward to and also not looking forward to was seeing what our garden was going to be like. This year, we had placed just a small garden out in our front yard by the front steps, and I was looking forward to seeing how the plants had grown and what they would be like, and we'd harvested nothing yet. And so I got back, and last night I realized, I've got to get out in the garden because, man, there are some weeds that are growing there, right? I was away, and then you come back, and we've got to pull the weeds out of the garden, and it was evening, and so it was a little bit cooler, and I was starting to pull weeds, and then I pushed back some of the leaves, and I saw, oh man, our beans are ready to go. When we left, they had just had flowers, and here they were ready to harvest, and it was unexpected, and it was good. Today is the first week of a new series called Life Is. It's patterned on the themes of Vacation Bible School, using the pattern of life is. And today we're looking at that life is unexpected and God is faithful. Because life can be unexpected. It can be difficult at times. And we may even feel a little bit out of control. But no matter where you find yourself, God is with you. And so I hope that you invite a friend to join you here at Susanna Wesley over the next several weeks for Life Is, a worship series about life and God. And today we consider the story of healing that comes in unexpected ways. I'll invite you to reflect on your own circumstances in your life. And we'll remember that when life is unexpected, God is faithful. We begin with the story of Naaman from 2 Kings. And I want to remind you about this character from the Old Testament. You remember that Naaman is a military commander. He works for the king of Aram. And they have just conquered the people of Israel in battle. And this is just one part of a successful military career for Naaman. He's one of the king's favorites. Things are going well for him. And in fact, there's many things that are going well for him, except this one thing. Man, he's got this skin disease. Now, we don't know exactly what his condition was, but what we do know is that likely it meant that he had a social stigma. People did not want to be around this guy. And also, it may have been severe enough that over time it would have been life-threatening for him. And as you can imagine, he wants to get rid of it. He wants to be healed. And I wonder, have you ever found yourself in a place like that? Maybe not these exact circumstances, but perhaps there are areas of your life that are going really well, and there's also perhaps areas that are in need of healing. Maybe your physical body needs healing. Maybe there's a relationship with a family member or friend that's broken down over time. Maybe you feel far away from God. Whatever it might be for you, was it something that you planned? Were you anticipating it? Sometimes we can make sense of our need for healing, and other times we can't make sense of it at all. Life can be unexpected. Naaman finds hope for healing from an unusual person, a young foreign girl from Israel. She suggests that Naaman might be healed of his disease were he to seek help from the prophet who lives in Samaria. And of course, this is the great prophet Elisha, you remember, who's already gained a reputation for performing great miracles. And Naaman decides, you know what? This is worth a shot. I'll give it a go. And so he comes with extravagant gifts and a letter from his king, and he goes to the king of Israel. And when he comes to the king of Israel starts to panic because he says, listen, how am I supposed to heal you? I don't have that power. What am I going to do? But Elisha, the prophet, hears of the king's struggles and offers to help. And so Naaman, he could have taken the advice of anyone about how to be healed. He could have asked his own family, gone to his own king, the healers in his land, other military leaders, but instead, he takes the advice of a foreign girl who's a servant to his wife. And he goes to seek healing in an unexpected place. Have you ever been in that place? Have you ever been looking for guidance or direction or where to go next? Maybe you've already talked to the usual suspects. You know, those people that you always turn to when you need advice or guidance or figuring out what's next. And then perhaps maybe someone unexpected offers a suggestion and you think, you know what, this just might work. Life is unexpected. Naaman has traveled from a foreign country. He's met with the king, and his next stop is Elisha's house. When he gets there, Elisha sends a messenger out to him to deliver the word. Go and wash 7 times in the Jordan River, and then your skin will be restored and will be made clean. Now, this is kind of a crazy advice. Can you imagine what Naaman thought when he heard this? Wait, what? What do you want me to do? Go take a bath in some river? This is not what Naaman wants to hear. You see, Naaman had a picture of what his healing was supposed to be like. Elisha was supposed to come out of his house. He was supposed to lay his hands on him and all of a sudden say some words, call on the name of the Lord, and he'll be healed. But that doesn't happen at all. Elisha doesn't even come out of the house. He sends a messenger to deliver this word to Naaman. And the Jordan River, really? What's wrong with the rivers in my own land? We can imagine Naaman saying. This foreign river, go wash in it 7 times? But of all the things that might have been true for Naaman, one of the things that we do know is he can take advice from others. And one of his servants says, hey, listen, if the prophet would have said to go do some difficult thing, wouldn't you have done it? This might be worth giving a shot. And so that's exactly what he does. He washes 7 times in the Jordan River and he is healed. Life is unexpected for Naaman, and yet he finds that God is faithful and he is healed. And I wonder, have you ever experienced something like this in your life? Maybe not washing 7 times in a river and being healed from a skin disease, but maybe having a picture of where you want to go, how things should be, how your life should go in the days ahead, what the future is like. You can see the path ahead of you, and then things don't quite go like that. Perhaps it's a different way to get where you think you're going. Maybe it's a different destination altogether. And maybe you found that God has walked with you along the way. I know that I've had times like that in my own life, and I want to share with you some of my story. I graduated from Salina Central High School in Kansas. I went to Pittsburgh State University down in Pittsburgh, Kansas. I was a biology major. I planned to work in a lab, and I was going to discover the cure to some serious disease. I think what idealistic biology students want to do. The summer before my final year at Pittsburgh State, I had the chance to work in a lab in Albany, New York, and I got to do that work all day, every day. And I found out I was good at it. I could do it, but I didn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life, and not even for the next few years after I graduated. And so I came back to school that fall uncertain about what I was going to do. It was too late to change my major, and I was thinking about what might be possible. That fall, I went on a campus ministry retreat, and I was reading through the stories of Jesus calling the disciples. And in the gospel according to John, it's John the Baptist, and some of his followers are there. And they see Jesus walk by, and they say, look, there's the Lord. And they go up to him and they say, where are you staying? And when I read those words, I felt like that was God speaking to me of my question, well, what might seminary be like? What would theological education be like? And God's response to me was come and see. And so at that time, I didn't know what was going to be next. I didn't know whether it would be in the local church, a nonprofit, a missionary working with youth, or campus ministries. I still remember the conversation that I had with my advisor, Dr. Brooker. She was a genetics professor. We're in the 2nd floor there at Heckert Wells, the biology building at Pittsburgh State, and I remember asking for her a recommendation letter for a seminary. And as you imagine, this is a different path ahead than what I'd shared with her over the past several years. It was an unexpected turn, and yet I found that God was part of it. I enrolled at Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C., and after the first year there, I had the chance to live and work in Yellowstone National Park, and as part of a Christian ministry in the national parks. During the week, I was a housekeeper at a hotel, at the Lake Hotel. I cleaned rooms in the cabins nearby, and that summer, I was a part of a team that helped lead worship in the park. We were responsible for worship in the hotel lobby, an amphitheater down the road, and a campground nearby. And during that summer, I had the chance to lead this team, and I'd been part of worship services growing up. But that summer, it was up to me and this group to make sure that worship happened every week for employees and guests. And it was during that summer that I felt called to be in the local church. Life can be unexpected at times and come in unusual places. I want to go back to the very first day of orientation there at Wesley Seminary. I met classmates from all over the United States, and one of them was from North Carolina, and her name was Nicole. We started dating that fall, and the summer before our senior year, our final year, we were engaged to be married. I never would have expected that I would be married a girl from North Carolina, and it's been such a blessing. In 2006, we graduated from seminary. We're married at her hometown in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and moved across the country to serve our first appointment, both elders in the United Methodist Church. And as mentioned earlier, our 14th year beginning as a full-time ministry. Along the way, serving in a variety of places, and today, my first Sunday here with you. We've got 2 children who are going to summer camp here this summer as they've so enjoyed it, and they'll begin at Indian Hills next door just next month. John will be in 3rd grade, and Ann will be in 2nd grade, and I never would have expected the turns that my life has taken over the years. And yet when I look back, I know that God has walked with me every step of the way. Life is unexpected, and God is faithful. And I'm so glad to be your pastor. I can't wait to learn more about this congregation, about your stories, about the way that God continues to call us together. If you have your tear-off card, there's a chance to have a conversation. I'd love for you to mark that down. I'll give you a call. We'll set up a time to meet. I just want to hear more of your story. Come to your house and meet your family, or meet you at your work. I'll take you to lunch, whatever it is. I'd love to hear more about you. In the gospel passage for today, Jesus commissioned 72 people just like you and I, to go on ahead in pairs to every city and place where he would go. And I wonder about these 72. We don't know much about them, but I wonder, do you think that they were expecting for Jesus to call them? Do you think they were expecting Jesus to send them on ahead where Jesus was about to go? What I do know is that God continues to send people to the places where God is going, where God is already at work. And I know that that has happened right here in this place, and it continues to happen right here among us. Several weeks ago, I was at the Great Plains Annual Conference gathering. It's a once-a-year gathering of United Methodists from across Kansas and Nebraska, and it's part business meeting, part revival, and part family reunion. After one of the sessions, a woman came up to introduce herself to me. She said, "My name is Dr. Susan Emmel. I'm a professor at Baker University, and I was the founding pastor at Susanna Wesley United Methodist Church." Of course, her name was Susan Mitchell at the time. Some of you may remember. She asked if I'd like to hear more about the early days of this place. And I said, of course, I'd love to hear more. And so we met for lunch, and she shared with me the story of the first days of this congregation. She was right out of seminary. You all made phone calls and knocked on doors and invited people to join a new faith community that would be meeting right down at Aldersgate. And maybe you remember those days. One of the things that she shared with me was she had the Kmart, the photo processing of some pictures that she'd taken from June of 1986. I think we've got those pictures. This is the wheat field that was on this land that we're sitting on right here. At the top, you can see the picture of a building that's going to be built, and you see the combine there ready to harvest. I don't know whose car that is, but it's certainly a sign of the times, right? They don't make cars like that anymore, I don't think. Maybe they do. But that picture of the harvest is one that started years and years ago, and it's one that continues today, because that sign pointed the direction for a congregation, for a community, that one day there would be a building here, that one day people would gather in that building to be encouraged and inspired, that there would be a dynamic body of Christ who's known for their character, for their integrity and ministry to community, that there would be a diverse community of faith where God's love is seen in action, and together they would follow Christ by seeking, by sharing, and serving in God's love. There was a vision for the harvest in God's kingdom that would begin right here in this place, and you are that congregation. The path that brought us to where we are today may not have been what we expected. For the congregation, for your family, for your individual life. But the good news is that when life is unexpected, God is faithful. Just like Naaman, who found healing in a way that he did not expect, God desires to heal the brokenness in our lives. Just like those 72 that Jesus sent on ahead of him, God sends us out in the community to be part of what God is already doing, to seek, to share, to serve. So that remember, this week when something unexpected happens, and something unexpected will happen, That no matter what the circumstances are, God is with you, because when life is unexpected, God is faithful. Will you pray with me? Oh God, we give you thanks for the way that you continue to be at work in our lives. We ask that you would open our eyes to the way that you're leading us, that you would send us out as those 72 did so long ago, that you might help us continue to be a part of the harvest for your kingdom as we seek and share and serve and offer God's love to all. We offer ourselves to you in Jesus' name. Amen.